Hi guys. I am sorry that I am not here physically with you guys, but you have me through video today. So we can go through some guided notes. I figured this was something that you guys could still probably do even though I am not in the building with you today. Because it's independent and dependent variables. I think we discussed this a little bit earlier in the year. But you guys also should know this from science classes, even if it's not being discussed currently in your class. If you are currently in first block watching this, your notes are already on the desk. If you are third, fourth, or fifth, your substitute should be either currently passing them out, or have already passed them out to you. So, and I apologize, I'm not here. One of my kids is sick with the flu. But hopefully I will be with you guys tomorrow. So for the box, it says independent variable right here. Your independent variable, it's also your input. Think of, I think I brought up input output boxes or tables. You put one value in to get your other value is the whole concept. It's your X value. We had discussed last week that the X value is also your domain, out of domain and range. So you're going to put domain right here. And then the example is number of pizza toppings. The independent variable is something that doesn't change. It's on its own. It does its own thing, like your individual independent people. Dependent variables, however, what they do is all dependent on the independent variable. So it's your output. That's what's going to be in that first box right here. This little rectangle. It's going to be your output. Because, like if you're looking right here, you have y equals 2x plus 4. Your independent variable, that x, you're going to put your independent variable right here. You'll multiply it by 2 plus 4. That's what's giving you the output. What you put in here and manipulate is what you get right here. So dependent variables are your y values. And just like discussed last week, they're your range. And the example would be cost of pizza. Your total cost of pizza is all dependent on the number of toppings. I'm going to pay more if I have a 2-topping pizza instead if I were to just get a 1-topping. And like I had mentioned, the dependent variable depends on the independent variable. Hopefully you guys can see that. So then you have the y, that's the arrow, and the line you're going to put dependent. So your y values are always going to be your dependent values or dependent variables. And then for the x is independent. Just like that. All right, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 examples. The first example is the hungrier a baby gets, the louder she cries. Your independent variable is hunger. Your dependent is the loudness of crying. If a baby's not very hungry, their cry is not going to be as loud. If they're extremely hungry, their cry is going to be extremely loud. It's a cause and an effect situation. Sorry about that. Speaking of baby crying, that's what that was. All right. So example B, the more you study for your test, the higher your test score. Nah, I'm on a video. I'm not gonna even. All right. So your independent variable would be your time spent studying. Your dependent is the score on your test. The more time you spend studying, the higher the score on your test should be. The less amount of time spent studying or no studying at all, lower the score on your test. Again, it's more of a cause and effect, just like if it's a scientific process. Example C, you want to determine how exposure to a grow light affects the speed of plant growth. I'm actually going to pause for a minute and let you determine on your own what you think the independent and dependent variable is. So I'm gonna wait a minute. All right, give you guys a few more seconds to think. All right. So for independent variable, if you said grow light exposure, you would be correct. And then for your dependent variable, if you said plant growth or wrote it down, you're also correct. The amount of light exposure does have an effect on plant growth. Plants need light in order to grow. If they're not getting any sunlight, or in this case, grow light exposure, they're not gonna grow. They're not gonna get any taller. They might shrivel up if they're already growing to an extent. But if they get exposed to a lot of light, they're gonna grow. They're gonna get really big, depending on the plant. Example D, y equals 2x plus 6. Give you a few seconds to write down what you think the independent variable and dependent variable are. All right. So for your independent variable, if you put x, that is correct. And then if for the dependent variable, if you put y, that is also correct. X is your independent variable. It's the value that you are putting into the equation to get the output of y. Y is your answer. Your answer is dependent on the value that you put in for x. All right, and then the last example, this is c equals pi times d. It's actually the formula for circumference. So circumference equals pi times diameter. So I want you guys to think for a few seconds on your own what you think your independent and dependent variables are. Give you guys a few more seconds. All right. So for your independent variable, if you said diameter, that is correct. And then for your dependent variable, if you said circumference, that is correct. In this case, just like your y equals 2x plus 6, c equals pi times diameter, your circumference is dependent on the value that you multiply pi by. Whatever the diameter's value is, you put that in, multiply that by 3.14, and out comes your circumference. So the notes are done. If you are in first block, you should already have your worksheet for today. And I believe there's like 10 or 12 questions on there, and you're just determining the independent or dependent variables in each situation. When you are done, please turn it into the bin. 3rd through 5th, you have the same assignment. It's just going to get passed out to you guys momentarily. When you guys are done, first, this is also on your desk as well. You have a study guide. You guys have a quiz on domain range, independent and dependent variables tomorrow. It's not a long quiz, it's a short quiz. And then 3rd through 5th, your study guides are on top of, I'm trying to think where I put it. They are on top of the Chromebook cart. Just like the study guides with the equations and inequalities tests, you complete them. What you get right on there will be the amount of extra credit I will put on towards your quiz. And I think that's it. Just as a reminder, obviously now, if you were, this was the instruction part, so the talking during instruction, getting sent out in the hallway is kind of already overdone with. But if you're opening up the door, trying to hang out in the hallway, talking to your buddies, you're immediately being sent to the office. That's already in notes for your substitute. So they are aware that that is something happening. So please do not make them send you to the office because you want to just not do your work. You can work on the assignments and study guides together, but if it gets too loud, it's been put in the subplans that you will go immediately to just silent independent work. Because you're not going to be loud and rude to the sub like you guys can be to me. Okay? So have a good day, do your work, and I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow.